if I'm a quarterback, which I have never been one, but if I was a 5-star quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in my class, and every team, every school in the country wanted me, the first thing I would ask is, do I have the pieces around me to win and to win early? And when Juju asks those questions to Auburn next time he's here, which I believe will be this upcoming weekend, Hugh Freeze is going to be able to look him in the eye and say, yes. Look at the class that we are forming on the offensive line, as well as some of the pieces that we already added on the offensive line last year. And they're still going to have to get some older veteran tackles, I think, through the portal. That's just an opinion. We'll see how certain guys develop over the course of the year before December rolls around. But Auburn's in a spot where, hey, Juju Lewis, there is a wall forming in front of you. Running back, I don't think Auburn will ever have to worry about running back. I think the path to running back being successful during Juju's time here will make sense. And then obviously wide receiver. Think a year from now, when Juju will be getting ready to prepare for his first season at, hopefully, Auburn. We'll see. Cam Coleman will have a year under his belt. And then as well as the rest of the Freeze 4.
Right.
With Perry and Bryce and Malcolm Simmons. And we all think Cunningham will be a part of Auburn's class when it's all said and done. It's just the level of talent around him. There's not going to be a whole lot, as far as on paper goes, there's not going to be a whole lot of schools that could say, yes, we can compete with that. Outside of Alabama and Georgia, we just mentioned all the teams that are recruiting better than them right now. It's not many, and they already have their quarterback for this class.
Yeah. I took the liberty of pulling up the USC depth chart. That's where he's committed right now. And this is unofficial. So mind you, there's some stuff here, but there are 9 total offensive linemen on this depth chart, period. Like, that's it. Of that, 4 of them are listed as seniors and 5 of them are draft eligible now, never mind in 2025. And so you could have complete turnover. Their receivers are 4 sophomores, a redshirt senior, and a junior. And so every single one of those guys, the good ones, could all have gone pro by the time he gets there. And so the school that he's currently committed to, he would legitimately have questions about who is going to block for me, who am I going to throw to, and looking at the running backs, redshirt senior and a sophomore, who am I going to hand the ball off to? Yeah. Never mind, that is a coaching staff that we have seen turnover. We have seen that, I don't think he would, but we have seen the head coach leave a school before in the middle of a contract.
Sure.
I don't think he would leave USC for somebody else, but you have to think about, like, okay, he's got this reputation of being a little bit flighty, and you compare that with the situation at Auburn. It feels like it's better in almost every single respect. You don't have the climate of California. Yes, it's a lot hotter here, but outside of that, you don't have to
Carrollton. Like, he knows.
He's used to it. You don't have to fly cross country to play some of your games because you're not in a weird conference. Your parents don't have to fly cross country to see you play. Lower cost of living. I mean, it's not just the football situation, but that is a better situation. Almost everything about this is better at Auburn. And so it makes sense that, like, no, Auburn's a very, very attractive destination, I would argue, to any quarterback transfer piece. If you're a transfer running back, you're a transfer tight end, whoever, Auburn's a very attractive piece because you look at this expected depth chart and it's either seniors who are going to be gone, Keandre Lambert-Smith's a senior, or it's a lot of very, very talented young guys that will have a chance to get all those freshman jitters out of the way. I mean, if I was an elite quarterback in high school right now, I would want to go to Auburn.
I think so. And I talked about this with Hank Brown a few weeks ago. And I asked him point blank, it's like, hey, it seems like Hugh Freeze and the staff have done everything possible that making playing quarterback at Auburn easier than it was just a few months ago. Was that true? And he's like, absolutely. Absolutely. It's done such a good job of teaching, but obviously bringing guys in. And that's your goal as a head coach, especially an offensive-minded head coach like Freeze is every offseason, you want to make your quarterback be a little bit more comfortable. And you do that by teaching. You do that by, renovating your scheme and playing your scheme and calling plays to your quarterback's strengths. And then making the talent around you better. And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. And he hasn't been here that long. And the strides that we've seen from the talent around the quarterback it's been dramatic, Lindsay. It's been dramatic.
I have to ask, on the note of the talent acquisition, is this one of the more, just on paper from a talent perspective, not the on-field results, on paper from a talent perspective, is this one of the best rebuilds, the quickest rebuilds that you've seen in your time watching college football? Like, if you think about where this program was at the end of the Brian Harsin era on Halloween, when Potato Man got fired because one player from his first class was still here and all that good stuff, to where it is now. This is one of the better rebuild jobs I can remember seeing in college football in the transfer portal era.
Yeah, I mean, in this modern era, sure. I mean, 2012 Auburn to 2013 Auburn will be historic for that reason.
Yeah.
But the context around it was different. Like, Auburn hasn't just fallen off. They just tried to do a weird thing on offense with players that were recruited to do different things. And then the guy who recruited them all to play that offense that they were intended to play came back. So, I mean, it was a weird thing. As far as just multiple years of neglect to adding talent, yeah, probably because I do think there's a misconception. There's still a shocking amount of people that will defend Brian Harsin. It's wild to me, but neglecting recruiting for 2
one of
years,
those guys is Brian Harsin on Twitter.
Probably so.
Very
probably
active.
so. But neglecting recruiting for 2 years doesn't set your program back for 2 years. It sets your program back way more than that. I mean, the negative impact was exponential, and thank goodness for the transfer portal to kind of allow you to stopgap this a little bit. But goodness, I mean, I think what they've done has been great. It's been great, and it's honestly exceeded my expectations.
I mean, and this is all just shooting from the hip here, looking at this offensive line depth chart, looking at these 13 players, I think 3 of them were here before Hugh Freeze. Like, I think 3 of these guys were pre-Hugh Freeze. Tate Johnson, Jeremiah Wright, and Braden Joyner.
Yeah, that might be it.
I think that's it. And I mean, maybe Wright's the starter at right guard, potentially.
Yeah,
but
he probably will be. Yeah.
Yeah, Tate Johnson's probably your backup center. Braden Joyner is somewhere in your probably the back of the 2 deep or start of the third team in his redshirt freshman year. I mean,
EJ Harris might have been too. Possibly.
Okay, yeah, EJ Harris might have been, right. Okay. And you know what?
He's a redshirt sophomore. So.
He's a redshirt sophomore. Makes sense. He would. Joyner actually as a redshirt freshman probably had to be that first class or something. So yeah, you probably still have 3, but it's Harris.
Joyner may have been committed to Harsin and then stayed, I think is how that happened.
Well, still the point is if you didn't have Hugh Freeze come in with his talent acquisition, what would this offensive line look like now?
Yeah, I mean, so many people I don't think realized how bad it was. I don't think folks realized how bad it was. And it could have been way worse, honestly. Could have been way, way worse. But thankfully it wasn't.